Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Video 1000, starring me. That's right, I could not decide what to do for Video 1000, so I'm not going to do a video. Well, I'm going to do a video. This is a video. But I'm not going to do a recipe. I'm actually going to answer the most commonly asked questions over the last 7 years. And we'll start with, why don't you appear on camera? And the answer is... that's pretty much the answer. I think in the industry they call that a face for radio. But really, if I have to give a honest and less amusing answer, it's that I didn't have any equipment when we started. So instead of trying to do like a really badly done stand and stir cooking show where the chef stands there and talks to the camera and does stuff like that, I decided to just film the food and then the next day or that night do a voiceover with the only equipment I had, which was a little cheap USB microphone that plugged into the laptop. And that was pretty much it. So we just continued with that format and people seemed to like it. So I think what it actually does is it actually kind of draws you into the video. You're sort of cooking with me instead of watching me cook. But anyway, that's one of my theories of why people sort of enjoy the videos more so than if I was standing there cooking and you were watching me walk around the kitchen and, you know, trying to show off and flip spatulas and mug for the camera. And it's just not my style. So anyway, that's why I don't appear on camera. And by now, most of you are saying, yeah, totally makes sense. This guy should not be on camera ever. So thank you for that. And that brings us to question number 2. Chef John, do you have a restaurant? Can I eat at your restaurant? Do you work at a restaurant? Is there any way I could find you out in public? Because I have a couple things I'd like to tell you. No, I do not own a restaurant. I do not work at a restaurant. Restaurant work is way too hard. I did it for many years. Well, the hours are long, but at least the pay is very low. The cooks, the bartenders, the waiters, we all seem to have so much more fun than the actual owner of the restaurant that it never really appealed to me. And that brings us to question number 3. Chef, what's the deal with the cayenne? You put cayenne in almost everything. Sweet, savory, you name it. If it's a dish and it's on Food Wishes, there's probably cayenne in it. Well, the answer to that is a multi-part answer. On the most basic culinary level, I really like what it does to food in small amounts. You'll notice we always are just putting a little shake on there, all right? Usually not a lot of cayenne, just a pinch. And I think that opens up your palate. I think it helps you taste the other flavors a little better. I can't prove that. Maybe someone else has proven it. I don't know. You can Google it. But that's one reason I really like that it brings out the flavors and other things, especially in just trace amounts. And number 2, it's really good for you. It's an anti-inflammatory, you name it. It's anti. If it's bad for you, it's anti. All right, it's going to raise your metabolism. Apparently, you burn calories faster. I mean, it's one of my secrets for staying in such great shape. It's good for literally everything. It lowers your blood pressure. There's a fly right there. It lowers your blood pressure. It will actually make you look better. I don't know. I just made that one up. And before you start thinking, Chef John, that's so nice of you, worrying about our health like that, really it comes down to the longer you live, the more page views I get, the more views on the videos I get. So it's kind of selfish. I want to keep you around to generate ad revenue. But really, that's sort of the reason. So am I looking in the lens or am I looking at the viewfinder? I don't want to like pull a Michelle Bachmann. Is that okay? Anyway, that's the deal with cayenne. It's really good for you. It tastes good. What's not to like? Why wouldn't you put it in everything? Okay? And that brings us to another very, very popular question. Chef John, do we get to see your kitchen? Why don't you show us your kitchen? Please show us your kitchen. All right, so let's check it out. We got kind of a little L-shaped island here. Some kind of Caesar stone, I think they call it. Got my spice rack up on the wall, a refrigerator. That's where I keep my chilled food. Little iPad holder on there. Let's see what's on there. Oh, Food Wishes. I love that blog. Some good stuff on there. And then over this way, we got our coffee nook, little espresso machine, some hanging pots. We got our sink area, dishwasher. Oh, and I'm probably most proud of this. Great trick. Take a cheap curtain rod and just hang it horizontally under your cabinet. And then you can hang all your utensils down like that for that totally professional kitchen look. I forget who I stole that idea from, but it works good. And then, of course, we have our stove and our hood. And then this little kind of rolling table here, which is what I do a lot of the filming on. I kind of move this around, roll it around. wherever it seems to work best. And of course, our garden. You've seen that in a couple shots. That's where I do all that grilling. Anyway, let me come back in so I can keep answering these questions. Hey there, back from the garden. And that brings us to another one of the most popular questions of all time. Chef, why don't you include ingredient amounts on the actual video page on YouTube? Why do we have to click an extra link to go back to your blog to get that information? Just put it on the YouTube page, please. Well, that is a good question. And the main reason is something called double dipping. See, we make money when you go to YouTube to watch a video. There's ads running on the page, of course. But then I also make money, and by I mean we. We also make money when you go to the blog because there's also ads running on the blog. So why would I give the ingredients on YouTube and just have you get all the info there when we could have you go back to the blog and get you again? Okay. By the way, we've had this checked out. Completely legal, completely ethical, I guess. So anyway, you young bloggers, let that be a lesson to you. Don't put all your stuff on YouTube. Make them go back to the blog to get the rest of your fascinating information and get paid twice. Hey, everybody wins. And that's a perfect segue to our final question. By far, the most commonly asked question is, Chef John, how come you don't provide written recipes? I mean, you give us the ingredient amounts, but there's no full text version of the video recipe. Why not? Well, that really is a good question, and I can see why people wonder, because literally every recipe blog, every recipe website you go to has the written recipe. Makes sense. But you know what? Food Wishes has never been about that. It's not a recipe website, or at least it's not intended to be. What it's supposed to be is a place to learn to cook. That's been my mission. That will always be my mission. So for people new to the kitchen, what I really want you to do is just watch the recipe, take your own notes, write your own recipe, and then based on your experience, based on how it came out, you add more notes and you try it again and you adapt and you finally at some point come up with whatever your version, your official version of that recipe. That's how you learn to cook. That's really the model that's used in culinary schools. The chefs don't email the students the recipe and that's it. The students watch the chef make it, then they try to make it, they take notes, they get critiqued, they make it again and again and again, and they keep changing their notes and adding notes, and eventually you learn how to cook if you do that enough times. So it really doesn't have anything to do with laziness, I mean maybe a little, or my incredible distaste for typing. Hate typing, don't like to type, but really that's nothing to do with it. It's all about you learning to cook instead of just following a set of instructions. All right, there's no paint by numbers in the museum, and there's a reason for that, okay? So anyway, that's it. Video 1000 is pretty much done. I really did want to answer all those questions you've been asking all these years, and that was just a handful of the most commonly asked ones. Now, for whatever reason, if I didn't get to your question, don't worry. Every 1,000 videos, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So in about, 6-7 years, you will be able to ask your question if I didn't get to it. So jot it down, hold that thought, and next time, hopefully I take care of you. And then before I sign off, a few thank yous. First of all, to YouTube. Without YouTube, there's no YouTube. So thank you, YouTube, for existing. Without you, this would have been much harder, if not impossible. Along the same lines, thank you so much to my friends and partners at allrecipes.com. Thanks to them, I just get to do the fun stuff, which is, pretty fun. And then last but not least, of course, I have to thank you. Without your support, this would have never happened. I mean, there's no way we even get close to 1,000 videos. So really, from the bottom of my heart, a sincere thank you for all the support. And you know what? Let's do another 1,000. You up for it? I'm up for it. That was kind of fun. So at this point, there's nothing left to say, except I really hope you head over to foodwishes.com, not for the ingredient amounts. There isn't any for this one. But for more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.